All right, and speaking of quarterbacks, let's talk about the San Francisco 49ers and their quarterback situation that they got going on. The little love triangle that Kyle Shanahan has between Sam Darnold, Trey Lance, and Brock Purdy. Now, as I've discussed before, the 49ers have been very held back by their quarterback situation. Kind of like me being held back from going Division 1 in my sport by my God-given athletic ability. Now, the 49ers are a team that, really have it all. Great defense, great offensive line, good weapons, good coach, good general manager, shitty stadium. But, the 49ers, they really need some production. They need somebody to step up from the quarterback position. And, you know, hearing Kyle Shanahan talk, in the early part of OTAs, um, at least in my opinion, he doesn't have no fucking clue what's going on at quarterback. He has said things like, we have three franchise guys." I also heard a quote that said two of these guys were top five picks, and Brock Purdy played like it last year. Stuff like that. Um, Kyle Shanahan to me is talking like most men who are overcompensating for something, and I'm not going to say what that something is. You guys know what I mean. I think that Kyle Shanahan is trying to lie to himself and trying to lie to the 49ers fan base about the confidence level that he really has in these quarterbacks. Here's the reality of it. We talked about the fact that two of these guys are top five picks. Okay. The fact that you have two guys that are top five picks means that they weren't built out to be what they were as top five picks. And to say that Brock Purdy played like a top five pick last year, I think is just wrong. I don't think Brock Purdy, again, I wasn't blown away by what Brock Purdy did last year. The most I was blown away by him was his preparedness and his professionalism. The fact that he was able to come in and win those games for the 49ers, it was good. But I wouldn't say that Brock Purdy was the one winning those games. I would say Brock Purdy was just not losing a lot of those games. Um, that's not even forgetting about the fact that Brock Purdy got injured in the NFC Championship game, and I don't want to harp on his injury. Kyle Shanahan said only God knows when Brock Purdy's going to come back. Again, not exactly words of encouragement. But let's talk about Trey Lance and Sam Darnold, because I think if Brock Purdy's back and he's healthy, he's going to be the starter. I think he definitely did earn that. Um, but let's talk about Trey Lance and Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, ever since he's come into the NFL, has just been a turnover machine. Interceptions, fumbles, everything like that. Overthrows. He's seeing ghosts. Not great. I think Sam Darnold does not fit into the Kyle Shanahan scheme at all. I think that Kyle Shanahan wants game managers who can occasionally make plays out of structure. I think if Sam Darnold comes in and is just a turnover machine, that it will completely derail what the 49ers are trying to do on offense. It'll completely derail it. Jimmy, even in the height of the Niners days when they went to the Super Bowl, and even, not last year, but the year before when they went to the NFC Championship game, at his best, Jimmy was a good game manager who didn't lose the 49ers games. He wasn't doing anything spectacular, but, at his best, again, he was not turning the ball over a ridiculous amount. He wasn't throwing back-breaking interceptions or anything like that. So, thinking about that and then thinking about Sam Darnold, the guy who has proven throughout his whole career that he just can't resist putting the ball in harm's way. It's whatever. So that's Sam Darnold. I have not a lot of faith in Sam Darnold. I think if it doesn't work out in San Francisco for him, like if Kyle Shanahan can't fix him, he might be donezo, because if Kyle Shanahan can't fix you as a quarterback, you're probably not going to make it in the NFL. Now let's go on to Trey Lance. Trey Lance, kind of similar to what I was just saying about Jordan Love. The results so far have been inconclusive. There's been some good, some bad, but there's not enough to tell one way or the other. Trey Lance this offseason went to a specialist to fix his throwing motion. It had been a bit more elongated in years past, kind of like something like this, like where you put the ball down a lot and then you kind of throw like this. And obviously you want a short stroke, short, arm path, efficient arm path, like they say. And from what I've seen in OTAs, it does look like his throwing motion is a bit better. But then again, they were saying a lot of the same thing last year, so I don't really know exactly what to believe. But Trey Lance looks to be the most talented of the three quarterbacks in the 49ers. He does have great athletic ability, although with that broken ankle, I would be a little careful. He does have, a decent arm. He does have capabilities. But from what I've been hearing and from what I've been, seeing in reports, they're not blown away by his intelligence. Maybe he struggled to grasp the offense. Maybe he's, not impressed the coaches in a lot of ways that you might like. And I think that's concerning. I really do. He's been a guy who he's been in this league for a couple of seasons, riding the bench or, on IR. He kind of should have the offense down at this point. He kind of should be, moving through it. He's got the same coach who's running the offense. So the fact that the offense coordinators have left really doesn't matter as much, unfortunately. Just, it's Shanahan's running it all, and Shanahan's still there. He's got good weapons. George Kittle's a great weapon. Debo, Brandon Ayuk. He didn't play it all with him, but he'll have him this year, and Christian McCaffrey, and a good offensive line. So really no excuse for Trey Lance at this point. If he really can't beat out Brock Purdy, that's a pretty wasted third overall pick. And not only that, but you also traded additional first rounders for him. So that's a pretty big bust move from the 49ers. Now, going back in time, I'm sure they would take Justin Fields third overall, but thankfully for all Bears fans out there, he fell to pick 11. We're not going to talk about that. So the 49ers this year obviously are still in contention to be one of the Super Bowl favorites. They are still a team that I think is going to be really good, definitely going to make the playoffs, probably going to be a top 2 or 3 seed in the NFC. But I wonder if their lack of consistent quality play at the quarterback position will once again be their downfall. Last year with Brock Purdy, they looked pretty much unbeatable. That's because Brock Purdy was playing at a league average level. And before him, they have just not had league average quarterback play. Jimmy was always bad. Trey's been hurt. It's just been a whole thing, right? So I think if anybody is going to give you at least solid quarterback play, it'll probably be Purdy. But if you want a guy with a higher ceiling but a much lower floor, you might want to go with Trey Lance. And if you want the worst of the two, then you might just go with Sam Darnold. So it all depends. But I'm not very confident in the 49ers quarterback situations this year. And as an avid prayer on the downfall of the 49ers, nothing makes me happier. Not the fact that they're injured, but the fact that I think that they will continue to sabotage the championship hopes of the 49ers. And yeah, that's it. So I want to hear your guys' opinions on the 49ers quarterback situation. I'm sure I'll have a lot of 40 Whiner fans in my comments talking about why, Brock Purdy is the next coming of Tom Brady, how, he's going to win 6 Super Bowls and double what the 49ers have right now. And, Joe Montana, who, question mark? I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of comments like that. And, that's fine to a certain degree. I'll let my king, Geno Smith, do the talking next season. Words are cheap and, he ain't right back. So that's all I'll say. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, and let's get into the last and final and last segment of this podcast episode.